Hello, this is Vox Evening News, brought to you from London. I'm Kesha Gatari. Now let's start with a look at tonight's headlines. Violent clashes in South Africa as two farmers accused of murder are released on bail. The International Criminal Court could start an official inquiry into alleged crimes committed against migrants crossing Libya. And at least 6 people have been killed following a car bomb attack in Somalia. Violent clashes erupted in northwestern farming community in South Africa on Monday after 2 farmers were granted bail. The pair, who are Caucasian South Africans, are accused of murdering a 16-year-old boy of Afro descent. Residents of Coligny took to the streets after the court decision, burning down the home of a Caucasian resident, heightening racial tensions that erupted after the teen's death. 26-year-old Peter Dorwood and 34-year-old Philip Shute are accused of killing Mathuhomola Moswuwe on April 20th. They reportedly caught him stealing sunflowers from a farm in the area. He is alleged to have died after being thrown out of the pair's moving vehicle, suffering a broken neck. The case will resume on June 26th. At least 6 people were killed and 10 others injured following a car bomb attack in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, on Monday. Officers at the scene report a car exploded next to an Italian restaurant in the center of the city near the presidential palace. There has been no immediate claim of responsibility for the blast, but Mogadishu is regularly targeted with similar attacks by militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab. In February, the group threatened to escalate attacks in its war against the new government of President Mohamed Abdullahi. More than 1 million children have fled Sudan because of escalating conflict. The United Nations reports a similar number of children are also displaced within the country. The world's newest nation has been racked by civil war, which has seen ethnic cleansing and numerous atrocities since 2013. According to the latest UN figures, children make up 62% of the nearly 2 million people who have fled to neighboring countries since the civil war started. Almost 3/4 of the country's children are out of school, making it the highest proportion of out-of-school children in the world. Efforts to start a national dialogue in South Sudan are on hold again after a key steering committee could not muster enough members. The government says more than half the committee members appointed by President Salva Kiir have yet to report for duty. A presidential spokesman reports that officials were forced to delay the swearing-in of the committee that was to oversee the dialogue. Now, the head of the United Nations Humanitarian Office in the Democratic Republic of Congo has reported the number of displaced people in the Kasai region increased by 100,000 in last week to 1.27 million.
The 1st of January 2016, OCHA estimated that there were 1.6 million IDPs in the Democratic Republic of Congo. 15 months later, at the end of March 2017, as you will see in the fact sheet that's been handed out, we find ourselves with an estimated 3.7 million IDPs in the country. That's an increase of more than 2 million refugees in the space of the last 15 months. The latest number we have for IDPs within those 5 provinces is now at 1.27 million. That's an increase of 100,000 in the last week. These numbers, I think you'll agree, are shocking and dramatic. Currently, in the DRC, we estimate that there are 1.9 million children under the age of 5 severely acutely malnourished, which means these are children for whom an urgent humanitarian intervention is required to avoid loss of life or significant negative health outcomes for them.
The chief prosecutor for the International Criminal Court has announced her team is collecting evidence of crimes allegedly committed against migrants crossing Libya. Ms. Bensouda told the UN Security Council in New York that Libya appeared to have become a marketplace for human trafficking, with thousands of vulnerable migrants, including women and children, detained at sites across the country. She further reported that credible accounts suggested that killings, rape and torture have become commonplace. The ICC is investigating whether such cases fall under the court's jurisdiction.
It is undoubtedly disconcerting to this Council that the ongoing political instability and the volatile security situation in Libya have reportedly led to the widespread commission of serious crimes. Reports of continued killings of civilians, abductions, detentions, torture, and sexual violence in Libya should be of great concern to all of us. My office continues to receive and examine information from a variety of sources, including non-governmental organizations and private individuals with respect to crimes alleged to have occurred throughout Libya since 2011. I am deeply alarmed by reports that thousands of vulnerable migrants, including women and children, are being held in detention centers across Libya in often inhumane conditions. Crimes including killings, rapes, and torture are alleged to be commonplace.
Police have reported around 300 sub-Saharan African migrants stormed the 6-meter razor wire fence between Morocco and the Spanish enclave of Melilla early on Tuesday, with around 100 successfully crossing the border. 3 officers were injured after migrants threw stones at border security during the early morning rush. Spain's 2 enclaves in Morocco are often used as entry points into Europe by African migrants who either climb over border fences or try to swim across the coast. The US has suspended some $21 million in aid to Kenya's Ministry of Health following allegations of corruption. According to an official statement, the embassy is working with the ministry to improve accounting and internal controls. Last year, Kenya's Auditor General reported $50 million was unaccounted for in an alleged scam involving top government officials at the ministry. The suspension announcement comes as Kenya's health ministry is still recovering from a 100-day doctor's strike which paralyzed medical services. The suspension of the $21 million amount is only a small portion of the overall American health investment in Kenya, which exceeds $650 million. Funding for life-saving and direct medical care have been exempt from the order. Saudi Foreign Minister Abdel Al-Jubeir was on Monday visiting the Moroccan capital of Rabat. He met with his Moroccan counterpart to extend an invitation from King Salman of Saudi Arabia to the King of Morocco, inviting him to participate in the Arab-Muslim-American Summit to be held in Riyadh on May 21st. 17 leaders from the Arab and Muslim countries are expected to attend the summit, which aims to be the base for a new partnership between the Arab and Muslim world and the United States. It will look at how to tackle terror threats and extremism, as well as bolstering security and stability in the region.
I had the honor of giving an invitation from the servant of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman of Saudi Arabia, to the King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, to invite him to participate in the Arab-Muslim-American Summit, which will be held in Riyadh on May 21st.
Morocco supports all initiatives undertaken by the servant of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman and Saudi Arabia.
On Monday, Ivory Coast Foreign Minister Marcel Amon Tano was in the Moroccan capital as well for a meeting with his Moroccan counterpart. Let's hear more from their discussion.
Le Maroc, suite à son retour dans la famille africaine,
Morocco, following its return to the African family, takes its place on the continent and is present more and more in the country, as our bilateral relationship shows. We looked at different areas of our cooperation and expressed the will to make it more dynamic.
Nous avons évoqué également le calendrier
We also discussed the calendar on the continent this year, notably the major events to be held in Ivory Coast, the Conference of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of the Islamic Conference on July 10th and 11th in Abidjan, the Francophonie Game at the end of July in Abidjan, the Summit of the African Union and the European Union on November 29th and 30th in Abidjan.
This is an opportunity for me to confirm Morocco's support for Ivory Coast's candidacy for a non-permanent seat at the Security Council.
Unidentified militants killed 7 Malian soldiers in the north of the country over the weekend. The incident comes just days after the West African country extended its state of emergency. According to the Defense Ministry, the strike is the second on Malian security forces in a week, bringing the total death toll to at least 15. Militants are said to have used a car to ram an army post in the village of Al-Mustrat on Sunday before firing rockets. Despite ongoing French strikes on their hideouts, desert fighters have managed to stage a series of attacks in recent months, including a suicide bombing at an army base in January, which killed at least 77 people. Well, it's time for a short break, but still to come on tonight's programme. A new paleontology find in South Africa reveals some interesting new information about early human life. A Cameroonian football legend gives back to his community. And we have an update on the Association of National Olympic Committees of Africa's elections.